I think he's going to be just fine, okay? But I won't do it tonight because I don't want to cause any controversy. Is that okay? All right? But Sheriff Joe can feel good.
All right. Was that as close to the President of the United States can come to telegraphing an imminent pardon, in this case, for former Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio? He joins us right now on the phone. Sheriff, very good to have you. Thank you.
I miss you, Neil.
It's very good to have you, Sheriff. Were you invited to this event, disinvited last night, just chose not to come? What?
I was not invited, but my gut told me not to show up. This will be the first time that I did not show up for his rallies, but I didn't think it was feasible because of the possible danger. I didn't want to be the cause of any demonstrations, riots, and that type of thing. I missed not going. I've been to all of his rallies, but safety was more important to me right now, public safety.
But to be clear then, Sheriff, it doesn't sound like anyone at the White House told you not to come. You made that decision.
No one, yes, no one told me not to come, but no one said I was invited either. So it was my decision not to go, but I missed it. It was a great evening for me. I really appreciate the President's nice comments and support. And one day I'll go public and talk about the tremendous abuse of the process. And if they can do what they did to me, they can do it to anybody. So that's not coming up right now. We'll just see when I'll be talking about it.
For those not familiar with the case, Sheriff, but this all goes back to a judge back in 2013 who said in the effort to go after undocumented immigrants, you were routinely fingering those of Latino descent, on that it was essentially racist. They'd asked you to cease and desist, and you were held ultimately in criminal contempt for not doing so, something that could land you in jail for up to 6 months, maybe more. I'm not aware of the statutes. But what is your reaction to that?
First of all, it started 60 days after Obama and Holder took office. That's when this started. And here we are now. I'm being charged with a misdemeanor, contempt of court. The sentence would be the same for barking dogs. They announced this the day before early voting, and then they went again and charged me 2 weeks before you go to the polls. So this is strictly a political hit, and I'll be talking about that in the future because if they did to me, they can do it to anybody. So we'll see what happens when this thing is resolved.
You know, Sheriff, not too long after this sentence was handed down, that you did publicly acknowledge that you might have violated that judge's order, but that it was not intentional. What did you mean by that?
Well, it was not intentional. My guys were doing their job. We had the authority under the program with ICE to do this from 2007 and 2009, and that's what this contempt. That was the period they filed the contempt against me, but we had the authority to do that. I don't want to get too much into this legal situation right now, Neil, but I'll have my day to talk later on.
Does it bother you that in the interim with all of this, you've been sort of held up as a poster boy for racism? I think it was the American Civil Liberties Union that criticized even the thought of the president pardoning you, that it would be account to an official presidential endorsement of racism. What did you make of it?
Well, I'm not going to get into the ACLU, but they're part of this abuse of the progress and process, and we'll talk about that later. She can say whatever she wants. Of course they're going to go against me. I'm like the poster boy. They've been after me since I started fighting the illegal immigration problem 8-10 years ago under the state law, which we had the authority under the federal law when they trained and swore in 150 of my officers. So, but we'll see. The bigger picture, once again, is the abuse of the process.
Let me get your sense then of what the president was hinting at last night, Sheriff. Has he talked to you personally on the phone lately?
No, he has not, and that's okay. Now, they put a press thing out that there would be no mention of this at the rally. But knowing the president, he has guts and courage, and my gut told me he was going to do it. Of course, everybody said no, but I know the man.
So you think even in light of Charlottesville and what happened there, and that maybe that's why such a pardon, if one would be considered, is being delayed, do you think that's a factor here?
Oh, I don't know. But he wasn't ashamed. He really went out there and talked about it. That's him. He's still in charge. He's the president. And I have a great deal of respect for him. I always will have, pardon or no pardon. I'm with him to the end. As long as he's the president, I will support him. I wish a lot of other people would do the same, including some Republicans.
Now, you express frustration with the Republicans. Do they include John McCain?
I'm not going to get into that situation, but there's a few out there that talk public. There's some that don't talk about it. They do it behind his back. But why can't everybody get together? The Democrats and the Republicans support our president. He's a great guy. He's going to go down as one of the greatest presidents we ever had.
Last night, Sheriff, as you know, he talked about building a wall, and he would even risk a government shutdown to force the funds to make that happen. What do you think of that?
Well, that's great. Let me tell you why illegal immigration has gone down, because he talked about it. And they're afraid now. That's how you do it. You talk about it, and they don't come across because they know they're going to jail. So just talking about it is a big deterrence, and that's what he likes to do, and it's really successful. Although he doesn't get any credit for speaking out, but that's very important, whether it's foreign policy, domestic policy. Hey, go public. Tell everybody. Now, when you can. I'm not talking about sensitive situations, but let the people know what you're going to do, and let the bad guys know. He loves the cops. I know that personally. And he's going to back up the cops and the veterans. He loves and the military today. So that's the type of guy he is. Why should he keep it quiet? Every time he says something, whatever it do, they tear him apart. That's
do you
bad.
get a sense, though, now, Sheriff, however this is resolved, I mean, maximum, jail time, 6 months, if they ever enforce that, you're 85 years old. Do you think a judge would enforce that?
I have no idea, but I have two good lawyers now, and we're in the process. But hey, Neil, I got two parking tickets in my whole life. Think of that. 2 parking tickets. 55 years. Joined the Army when the Korean War broke out. Now I got to sit at a defense table as a criminal when I did nothing wrong? Come on.
So when you would round up illegals, what was the criteria that you used that became so controversial? What was it?
Well, first of all, I had the authority, my people, to do it because we had the authority to act as immigration officers. Number 2, there was certain criteria. We didn't go around stopping people because of their color. We stopped them on a violation of law, and pursuant to that, if they're here illegally, and the Supreme Court says today that you can do that, stop people and ask where they're from. So it's a very controversial situation. A lot of people don't understand it. So I'm fighting it out, and we'll see what happens.
Are you, after all of this, bitter?
The what, Neil?
Are you bitter?
I don't like going negative, you know me, but I'm a little discouraged. And it's not for me. It's for everybody. Because what they did to me, they can do to anybody. Believe me. And they can do to the president, which they're trying to do anyway. So it's a bigger picture than this sheriff.
Sheriff Joe Arpaio, thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, you heard Joe Arpaio there saying that he did not speak to the president beforehand on this pardon thing, opted on his very own not to go to the event last night in Arizona. The fallout from that and the implications for the president right after this.